over a bottle of wine as Meshach Manos. But why is wine so important? So in today's episode, we're going to understand that the downfall of Haman actually begins at a party that Esther arranges, where, of course, it's a party where they're going to drink wine. And since his downfall happened through wine, we are so grateful when we drink wine on Purim to remember this miracle. But it's very important in the Purim story to realize that everything was Hashgacha Pratis, everything was Hashem's divine plan, and things weren't coincidental. It's not that, the king likes Esther, so Mamela is going to listen to her. This is all a miracle. And every day we say Modim. Modim means V'al Nisacha Shebechol Yom Imanu. Thank you, Hashem, for the miracles you make for us every day. It's a good idea to really think what you're saying when you say that every day, to realize what a miracle it is that Klal Yisrael exists today. We've been compared to a sheep surrounded by wolves. The fact that Klal Yisrael are around today and Baruch Hashem flourishing around the world, B'li Ayin Hara, it's a great miracle, and probably even a bigger miracle than any other miracle that you're familiar with. And we should appreciate that the Purim story is a chain of miracles. Okay, so the time comes that Esther has to appear before Achashverosh. She's in Mesiras Nefesh mode because if he gets angry that she came uninvited, he has been known to kill even his wife Vashti, so who knows what his temper might do this time. It turns out it was either the 15th or 16th day of Nisan. It was Pesach time that Esther got up from her ashes and the dust that she was sitting and mourning and crying as she fasted for 3 days with Klal Yisrael, and now she was preparing for her meeting with the king Achashverosh. She put on the nicest clothes. This was a special type of silk with golden threads that was very exquisite. It even had special gems and jewels that came from very far away from Africa, and pearls. And it was a beautiful, magnificent gown fit for the queen. On her head was the golden crown, and even her shoes had gold. It turns out she prayed to Hashem that in the zchus of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, she should be successful. She said, Hashem, remember the Avos. You saved them. Avram Avinu was saved from a fire, and Yitzchak from by the Akedah, and Yaakov from Esav. Please save Klal Yisrael again. She said, Hashem, remember you saved Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. You saved those 3 tzaddikim when they were thrown into the blazing fire for not bowing down to Nebuchadnezzar's idol. They were Mekadesh Shem Shemayim Barabim, and Hashem came to save them. Actually, Hashem sent the Malach Gavriel to save them. Daniel was saved in a lion's den. There was over 1,000 lions, and they didn't devour him. They were hungry lions. Hashem, you saved him. So please save me from this Melach Tipesh, this foolish king, and make it that I should find favor, grace, charm in his eyes. Esther prayed very hard until her throat was already dry, and her eyes were also swollen from tears. Esther then felt Ruach HaKodesh come to her. The divine spirit of Hashem, special holiness, that when it comes to a person, the person is given extra strength. We find by Shimshon, one of the Shoftim, that he had Ruach HaKodesh and he was able to defeat the Plishtim, even though Shimshon himself was weak and lame. But when he had Ruach HaKodesh, he was the strongest in the world. And even though she had fasted a very long series of fasts, she decided that now it's time to go. I'm not so sure if she fasted 3 days or 1, but it seems that she did. And As Esther was entering the king's castle, his palace, there was pictures of Avodah Zarah on the wall. So the Shekhinah left her. That divine closeness, that Hashem is close to a person, the Shekhinah, Hashem's presence, left her because it wouldn't be near the Avodah Zarah. And the Satan tried to be Mekatrig. And the Satan tried to say, why save the Jews? Didn't they do Avodah Zarah? So many that bowed down to Nebuchadnezzar's idol. So right then, Esther said a parak in Tehillim. And she said the parak, Eli, Eli, lama azavtani. It's Tehillim parak chaf beis. That's the parak that Esther Amalka said. And as Esther said this parak, she said, my God, why are you forsaking me? Rachik mishuasi. Don't be far from saving me. Beautiful tefillah she said over here. And Chazal say, what did she mean when she said, my God, why are you forsaking me? So she said, Hashem, Eli, you're our God, and you saved the Yidden by the Yam Suf. Even though there were some Jews that brought an idol into the Yam Suf. It was called Pesel Micha. There was a Russian named Micha who brought in an idol. Some say that Micha who brought in an idol was the very boy that Moshe Rabbeinu saved from being stuffed in the building as bricks. Moshe saw the form of a baby and he said, Hashem, have Rachmanis, look at that. The Mitzvah are sticking Jewish boys into the building, into the bricks, into the cement. And Moshe saved the boy thinking that, he's a good boy. And that boy was really a bum. And he ended up bringing in Avodah Zarah into the Yam Suf. So Esther said, Hashem, just like you or Michael, you saved the Yidden by the Yam Suf, even though someone had an Avodah Zarah there, so save us again. And then she said, Eli, a second time, that by the Egel, by Har Sinai, there were some Yidden that were involved with the Erev Rav, and they bowed down to the golden calf. And you forgave Yidden, you saved the Yidden, so save us again. Even if Avodah Zarah was a chait that was going to cause their death. When Esther approached the king's courtyard, the inner courtyard, where he was sitting, she stood still and she waited. When the king saw that she came uninvited, he got very angry. He felt it was chutzpah to come without invitation. He has a system when he wants to see people. And I'm sure Achashverosh had many wives in Pilagshim besides Esther, which was very common for kings. And when Esther saw that he was very angry and upset, she was afraid and she didn't feel well. She almost was ready to faint. She needed to lean on her servant, her maidservant. Right then Hashem sent 3 malachim, 3 angels to help her. One malach, one angel lifted her head so that she would appear aristocratic, like a queen should always appear. And this made on her an aura of elegance and style and royalty. The second angel had to change her depressed look into a look of happiness, of beauty, of charm. And the third angel had to go and lengthen the stick of Achashverosh. Achashverosh had a stick, and if he would put it out, the golden scepter, and you touched it, that means you're invited to speak to him. If not, the guards could take the person away, throw him in jail, or kill him. And the malach's job was to stretch that it should keep going. And this was a big miracle that the pole of Achashverosh just kept on going to be able to reach out to Esther. So the Malach made this miracle, and now she was able to come close. There's a machlokes, how far did it stretch? Some say it stretched 12 amos. Some say it even stretched up to 200 amos. Now, as he says to Esther, what is your wish? Make a wish and a request. Up to half of my kingdom, I will accommodate you. So Chazal say he meant you can ask for anything except the building of the Beis HaMikdash. He didn't even know she was Jewish. So right now Esther's going to come up with the idea how to cause Haman's downfall. She says, I want that tomorrow you and Haman should come to a special party I prepared for you. And one of the reasons she wanted Haman to come is she wanted to cause jealousy. That Achashverosh should see, why is she favoring Haman? And then he would be jealous of Haman. And then he would, of course, go against Haman. So she was trying to turn the king's heart against Haman. And Chazal say that Haman was compared to a snake. Now, we have to know, why was he compared to a snake? And I think that you can understand this with understanding about the first snake that was mentioned in the Torah. The first snake mentioned in the Torah, we find in Parshas Bereshis, was the snake that told Chava not to listen to Hashem. Hashem said, don't do something. The snake said to do it. The snake convinced Chava to do it. Until today, the world suffers because of that mistake of listening to the Yetzer Hara. But the point is that the Haman was also like a snake. What did he do that was like a snake? Chazal saying, is brought down in the Medrash. He told Achashverosh, you want to get rid of the Jews? First you got to get Hashem angry at the Jews. How do you get Hashem angry at the Jews? So Haman said, Hashem doesn't like pretzas. Hashem doesn't like it. That's when people act not sneeze. So on purpose, Haman said, invite the Jews to a party. And at the party, he said to put zonos there. That's people who are not sneeze. And because the people will be nichshul with their eyes, with their minds, with their bodies, then Hashem will get angry at them and destroy them. So Haman was really like that snake, that original snake that caused mankind's downfall. And that's one of the reasons compared to a snake. Another reason is, besides that he told the Yidden to do an Aveira, he got them to do an Aveira, but he was like a snake that a snake kills without much gain. Haman really was like trying to kill the Jews. What does he gain by getting rid of the Jews? So that's why he was compared to that deadly snake. Now, in today's program, I'd like to read to you a letter that Achashverosh wrote to his 127 countries that he was the king of. It's interesting that this Medrash in Esther Rabbah brings down the letter, and it's also found in the Mamloes. In this letter, I'm most amused that Achashverosh actually quotes many times in history in his letter. And let's see that how he knew history. He's going to mention Moshe Rabbeinu, Yoshua ben Nun, the wars against Amalek, the wars against Sichon and Og and Midian, Sisra and Sancherib and Nebuchadnezzar. There's a lot of history in today's letter. This is what Achashverosh said. He said, Shalom lachem lad, peace to everybody. I'd like to inform you that there's amongst us a man who's not from our country, but he's a man of royal lineage. He comes from the family of Amalek, that nation of Amalek. He's very important, a great dignitary. Haman is his name. He asked me a little favor about getting rid of one nation that lives amongst us. He says it's a low nation that really wants to do bad to us, which is all Sheker and Lashon Hara, who said the Jews want to do bad. But that's the poison that Haman and his children kept on telling Achashverosh to get rid of the Jews. Because Amalek hates Yaakov. Esav son of Yaakov. Haman was a descendant of Esav, and therefore he was trying to get rid of the descendants of Yaakov. He says that they're very arrogant. They curse the king constantly. Now, where do we find that Jews curse the king? So believe it or not, he quoted two psukim that we say in Psukei de Zimra. Look what it says in Psukei de Zimra. He took it out of context. It says, Hashem melech olam vad avdu goyim me'artzai, which means Hashem is the king forever and ever, and may the nations be destroyed from his land. It doesn't mean the good nations, it means the wicked nations. But he said it as if the Jews curse all the goyim. Then he says, Lasish nekama b'goyim tuchechas ba'alumim. They say a pasuk in the Halalukas that says Hashem should take revenge against the goyim and punish the nations. But again, Hashem doesn't want to punish good nations. He wants to punish bad nations. But that's what he told Achashverosh. So Achashverosh writes in this letter that they don't appreciate anything. They're kifuyei toiv. That's people who don't appreciate what people do for them. He says, prove it. He says, Paro, the king of Mitzrayim, the poor Paro, he calls Paro Miskain. He says, when the Jews came down to Mitzrayim from Israel, he welcomed them warmly and he gave them the best piece of land to